You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking. So always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living podcast with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. Now, you'll notice I didn't say the ambassador of joy. The ambassador of joy. And you know you tuned into this show for one reason and one reason only, because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And the result of that is you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? And of course, you tuned in, and we thank you so much for continuing urging your family and friends to join the podcast. Right now, we have over 500,000 people around the world listening on a regular basis. We urge you, share this with 5 people. That's it. You want to share with 50 or 100, it's up to you, but at least 5. And remember to follow us on Spotify or Apple, and just keep touching people. You share this with 5 people, we touch 2.5 million people. And you know that everything we do works around the 3 fundamentals of life. And these 3 fundamentals are, number 1, life, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. Now, in this case, a good number 2, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym. It stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference. Just like you're going to learn with our amazing guest today. This is so much fun. I'm just so eager to bring him on. I'm just going to finish a few things here. And the third is to uncover the power and the sequence of everyday words and terms. Simple example. This show is covered by, is put out on the world through the internet. If you ask anybody, what does WWW stand for? Well, WWW, they say, has to do with the internet. Factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, WWW stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? WHATA. And of course, a tip of the hat and a big thank you to Louis Armstrong Satchmo for enabling that song to go viral. What a wonderful world. When you hear that song, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, SMILE is one of the most important acronyms you can internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because SMILE stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I'm honored and privileged to be able to speak to people on a regular basis through the internet and in person. Recently, I spoke to a group, 1,127 people, telling a story about Barry Shore and talking about seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours already. I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, you have food to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have family, you have friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or listening, you didn't. If we have an obligation to live life to the full. And let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed, my neck down. And it was not from an automobile accident, not a spinal injury. It was a rare disease, which I never heard of the day before. It took over my body and caused me to be completely paralyzed. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. I was 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't move. I was in a wheelchair for 4 years. I had braces on both my legs, my hips to my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. All becomes a one word. Smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me and says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile, S-M-I-E-L? And I thought about smile. It sounds the same. Why not? I asked, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. What was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a fabulous acronym that stands for causing rethinking. You're going to learn about that. Enabling all to excel. What we call a shift in perspective. Now, you got to be very careful with your F's in shift, and don't drop it or the other stuff happens. You want to keep that F in place. You want to shift your perspective just a little bit, and then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine the path of your life and the trajectory. Now, before we bring on our amazing guest, Hutch himself, I'm going to urge everybody to be aware that I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word. I do it for the shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, pray, free, gift, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends, you have a twinkle in your eye, a smile on your face, point your finger, say, F-U, everybody. But add right away, capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? I listened to Barry Shore on The Joy of Living. Had on this amazing guy, and he's helped transform my life. You got their attention, now you can talk about it. So before we bring on amazing Hutch, I want to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life. You do this, you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. And these 2 words are thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. That's right, to harmonize and nurture kindness. KIND is a great acronym. It stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anybody that I want to share with you that inspires noble deeds more than wonderful, amazing Michael Hutchison. Wonderful Hutch. Please say hello to 1,613 people around the world.
I'm blushing. Thank you, Barry. What a treat. Happy Tuesday. What a joy to be with you. Thank you, sir.
What a pleasure. Just heard he did 3 thank yous in a row because you know why? He was listening. So I ask you, wonderful Hutch, when was the last time somebody said F you to you and you laughed? Okay, let me do the following. If I started telling you all the things about wonderful Michael Hutchison, aka Hutch, you would take the rest of the show. I'm going to give you 3 data points though. One of them is for those of you around the world, and I think it probably includes everybody that has ever heard of Tony Robbins. So wonderful Hutch used to work with Tony Robbins, not only worked with him, but he was the worldwide VP of sales and marketing, and he co-created the most amazing university in the world, Mastery University with Tony Robbins. So Hutch co-created that. Number 2, everything about him is done in a loving, creative, caring way. That's his world. And number 3, most important, he's married for over 20 years and he has 6 kids, 2 grandchildren, and more on the way. That's the greatest accomplishment. So without further ado, wonderful Hutch, it's a pleasure to be with you again and say hello. And let's just jump right in and talk about what your world is, because your world is dedicated to corporate giving. Now, corporate, we understand business. Giving, we understand. Some people don't see that they are not only work together, but they enhance each other. So throw us into the deep end of the pool, kid.
You got it. You got it. Well, again, what an honor, what a treat and a pleasure to be with you. And I want to first thank Brian Byra, our mutual friend, whom I love dearly. And, during that time frame that I was with Tony, my life was shaped, to a different level. And in those 7 magnificent years that we were together, Brian Byra, was one of those leaders, Barry, that I'm so grateful to stay in touch with. And so thank you, Brian and Carol and your family. And thank you for putting us together. Appreciate it.
And even thank you to Tony.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Love you, man.
Actually, F you, Tony.
Tony's the one that actually would appreciate that, God love him. But yeah, so look, I'm fortunate to have met a business partner who we came together 10 years ago, and we both shared an idea. We wanted to create a business that allowed people and empowered people to see the world. So, to use, and I love your use of acronyms. We found what we called our RP. We had the right product, which was travel, right? Everybody, wants, and I think inherent within their soul is they're nomadic and they want to travel and see the world. And it's sexy. And so, that was the product that we came across. And then we had to figure out a way to compensate our representatives, and in all the traditional businesses that I've been a part of, including Tony's. Of course, you have to find purpose in the meaningful work that you do, but we also wanted to reward people handsomely for enabling people to find joy, to travel and see the world. And so we had, if you will, to use the acronym RC, we had right compensation. We figured out a way, Barry, not to figure out the least amount of money that we could pay people to grow the business. No, we were the opposite. We wanted to give as generously as we could. And inherent within our travel business model, we wanted to add value to our members. So we created a membership club. Like any membership club, we provide amenities and benefits to members that non-members don't have. And so we're aligned with the major cruise companies, the largest cruise companies in the world, largest and most magnificent hotels and resorts and tours and excursions. So that was the right product. To his credit, my business partner, created what became the equivalent of a loyalty point, like an airline point. So for every $1 that you paid in the membership to join, every $1 that you paid in a membership fee, it created value, Barry. And so it was $100 to join and $100 per month. And each of those dollars became a reward point that you could use to reduce the price of cruise, a hotel, and stays at and go on excursions. So that was the, if you will, the game changing wow of our world, was that reward point, that 2-for-1. And then of course there was skepticism. How in the world can you afford to pay people 2-for-1? Well, it was more of a focus on what we did not pay. Barry, we did not have to build the cruise ships, right? An average cruise ship today,
that actually saved a lot of money. You didn't have to build cruise ships.
No, sir. The average cruise ship today, just to get it to port, is approximately $950 million US.
Wait a minute. Just shy of $1 billion to build one floating resort.
That's right. With an average capacity of about 2,000 to 3,000 people. It's going to be more for the bigger ones. And so we didn't have to spend that money. We didn't have to spend the money on the hotels, on resorts. The cruise agencies, our partners, they provide the employees. I didn't have to go out there and meet and greet, although I did for our members in the early days. I went on, all of our, our family trips. We call them, dream cruises, if you will. And I was there to meet and greet, but today I don't do that. And so the right product was, again, travel, see the world. The right compensation was this 2-for-1 reward points. And then again, figuring out a way to pay our representatives, those that went to market, those that shared what they loved, our story, with everybody that they knew. And so that focus on adding value to members, adding value to partners, again, this idea of living to give more than you expect in return led to the giving back. And even in our earliest days, Barry, when we had very limited resources, we gave cruises to Make-A-Wish families. We partnered with Make-A-Wish in Central Florida. We found out those families whose children, maybe as a dying wish, wanted to go on a cruise with their families, and we contributed to that. And again, it wasn't much, Barry, but it was inherent within our values.
Part of what your persona was, not just as a business facing, it reflected your humanity. Now, I just want to make a pause here. Thank God we have people from all over the world that are listening. And if you're not familiar with something called the Make-A-Wish Foundation, you must be. You must become familiar with it. Let's go. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of a WOW idea. WOW stands for words of wisdom, words of wonder. So you're a WOW, wonderful Hutch. The latest book that I published just a few months ago is called Reframing the Art of Living. And I'm happy to say that one of the people that's featured in the book is a remarkable man. His name is Frank. I won't tell you last name yet. Everybody will know him when they start reading the book and learning about it. Frank was the highway patrol officer that founded Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, wow.
And I'm honored to say that he was a friend. He was an amazing man. So the Make-A-Wish Foundation does things for kids, especially their dying wish. And what you just did, Hutch, is you touched the very core of what I believe business is all about, which is to enhance people's real wish, not their dying wish, but their living wish. In your case, travel. Who doesn't want to see the Maldives or South Africa or Antarctica or just go on a cruise? Who doesn't want to do that? Because what does it do? It broadens you. It expands you. Am I correct on that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it makes the world smaller. To taste the food, the culture, to as you use the word I love, harmonize. And more importantly, Barry, what it does is it gets you out of your comfort zone. It empowers, it challenges you to what I say, leave the safety of the harbor behind. They don't build boats. They don't spend $1 billion for a cruise ship to sit in the port, right? And to sit in the harbor. And so if you don't go get a passport, you don't do something to elevate you, your family, and you stay put, your life is going to, not be the exciting venture that you and I get to live, Barry. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. By the way, if you're only listening to this, you can hear the lilt in his voice. If you have the opportunity to be watching this, then you can see his beaming countenance just speaking about what he does, because this is, in my humble opinion, this is the essence of life, to be able to put into practice that which is what your inner being says. In other words, I'm here to serve. Like you said, living is giving. There is no other aspect of life. How do you find the best way to be a giver? And that's what you're doing. It's enhancing, which is, of course, one of the reasons why I'm so honored and happy that you're here. So let's continue this and tell us from your perspective. People get on this remarkable thing called a ship. They're out in harbor and they're looking to say goodbye, looking to wave goodbye to somebody who sees them off. I don't know if they do that anymore, gangplanks and all that sort of stuff. And now they're on a trip somewhere. It doesn't matter if they're cruising the Caribbean or the Gulf of America, or wherever they go. Before we do that, I just want to ask you, tell us what the feeling is for people who think they're going on a cruise. What is their heart telling them?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you what it was for me. Again, I think that I think it's important to share this story, that what was going on for me personally when I decided to start.
Oh, if you're going to do personal story, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We have sponsors that love the show. You wouldn't have the show if it wasn't for these sponsors. We vet them. We don't think they wouldn't be worthy of your time and attention. Before we hear that great story from Hutch, we're going to be right back after this brief message. Don't go away. There's more Hutch on the other side of this message.
Any business leader who has stood in front of potential investors can tell you, creating a vivid, compelling vision of the future can be the difference between bankruptcy and billions. If you can move people with words, you can practically will things into existence. Something that seems impossible can be made to seem inevitable. But not with bullet points, with a well-crafted and well-told story. I spent 30 years in advertising, creating stories for giant brands, universities, and governments, and changing people's hearts and minds. And over those years, I accumulated a treasure chest of insights about how to entertain and inspire and move people. And I think I can teach you. Can you think of a tool more powerful than human speech? See how your value changes when you start to master the oldest human art form.
Hello, skincare connoisseurs. If you think you have tried everything in skincare, you are going to love what I am about to tell you. I'm pharmacist Benjamin I. Fuchs. I'm a dermatology pharmacist, and what I've discovered in my compounding pharmacy after decades of working with patients with skin traumas and skin diseases is the missing link in skincare is topical essential nutrition. And because of this missing link, we're not maximizing the potential of topical skincare. We're leaving skin beauty and skin health on the table. And that's why I formulated my Truth Treatments. Listen, the skin's an organ. It needs and wants and craves nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and plant-derived minerals, and now it can get them in super high concentrations in my Truth Treatments. Originally formulated for dermatologists and their patients, now they're available to you. Check them out today at truthtreatments.com, and I know you are going to love the truth.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Hutch, and he's talking about travel. He's talking about giving. He's talking about living. And now I want to hear the personal story. Okay, Hutch, spill your beans.
Well, I have a similar story to yours, not quite as dramatic. Let me just say that. But at the age of 19, I should have died. I lived a miracle, and to be brief about it, it requires a lot of vulnerability for me to share the story, because a little bit embarrassing, quite frankly. But I mentioned I was in school in Munich, Germany. It was the winter semester. I was in the middle of winter exams. I was also completing, this will age me, I was on the 4th floor of a building on campus outside of Munich, Germany. And I was writing a paper about a gentleman by the name of Metternich, an Austrian diplomat who was famed for trying to unify Europe at the time. And that was my honors thesis, if you will, up late, typing in the typing lab. And then I had an exam the next day. When I went to leave in the late hours, it was probably after midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, all the doors on the 4th floor were locked. And so I was locked into the building. I couldn't exit. And what was going on in my mind was, having completed the typing, I'm a very slow typer. I wanted to get home to get, showered and get at least a few hours rest to take my exam the next morning. Again, all the doors are locked. I go into a classroom. I see that there's a window that's open. I go to the window. I'm looking out. It's snowing. It's cold. It's, freezing temperatures in Munich, Germany. I see wires traversing from the building that I'm in to the building opposite of me. And like all, college students.
Wait a minute. Only a 19-year-old could think and do what you're about to say. No, you have to be 19 and crazy to do. Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What did you do?
well, like all college kids, I had a backpack. And so in my mind, I envisioned that if I could, take the backpack straps and wrap them around the wires, and I could hold on, I could effectively zip line Barry, from that building, across. And I remember a policeman, actually a campus security, talking to me, and saying you fell 4 floors. You fell 4 floors. And so I had a blood-soaked jacket, and he took me to the hospital, a German hospital. And then last thing I remember was jimmying out of the windowsill, if you will. And that's the last thing that I remember. Then the conversation with the security official, and then I woke up in what's called the Röntgen room. Wilhelm Röntgen invented X-rays, and they took X-rays because I fractured my back, the lower lumbar region of my back. I fractured my skull, so I have this ball cap on. I broke my left ankle, and I was in pain with embarrassment that I didn't make it, Barry. Daggone it, I didn't make it. And so mine was self-imposed. Your unfortunate neurological disease that you overcame, you didn't have a choice. I had a choice, and I suffered the consequences. But I like you, every morning would get pain shots in my stomach at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would look at that nurse and I would say, I'd feel better if you would stop giving me these daggone pain shots. And I just I prayed, and I made a promise that if I were to live and get through this, that I would be that example, like you, Barry.
I need to jump in here without my backpack and holding on, because I want everybody to understand what Hutch just shared with us, with the world, is the same exact formula that I used. I call it PTL: prayer, therapy, and love. Because I'm going to fast forward something and tell everybody the inside baseball part here. That you just heard about a 19-year-old who suffered traumatic experience. Fast forward a couple of years, and Hutch is at Georgetown University in America playing varsity football and lacrosse. And this is the power of prayer, therapy, and love. I'm not exaggerating, am I, at all? Right, Hutch?
No, sir. No, sir. That's it. Love that. Yeah, that's it. And so, like you, I made a promise, and I felt like my prayers were answered, and I got medevaced out of the hospital in Munich, Germany, close to family, in Wiesbaden, Germany. And so I was surrounded by my family, those that I love and care about the most. But I prayed daily, morning, noon, and night. And I more prayed for, the energy, to get through, the pain. And like you, I wore a brace, that kept my head still. And I was in bed, for months. But then I was able to walk, and I was able to be ambulatory and wore a brace. And it was a lot of therapy and a lot of love. And I made a commitment, made a promise, to my Creator that I would give back. I would be that example. I would be that loving example of PTL, which I didn't know at the time, but I love that.
So we're both going to urge everybody to understand. We tell the stories not just to get your sympathy vote, which we hope we do. We want your ear. We want your attention. We want your heart. Because every single person listening has 5 friends. Again, I want you to share those 5 friends. You want to do it 50 or 100, that's okay. The key is finding the you in you so that your promise comes out into the world without having to go through drama and trauma. That's all. And that the key, the what that makes everything flow is the G word, the giving. So let's fast forward now. You've been through iterations with, you meant, I know that you worked for Ross Perot. By the way, did you ever meet Ross Perot?
I did not. Unfortunately, okay. I did not. Now, I did work for Paul Chaperone. And if you recall, if you read the book On Wings of Eagles,
yes,
Paul Chaperone was the employee in Tehran, Iran, that Perot went in and rescued. And Paul Chaperone oozed confidence, Barry. And so he was a role model for me. And I was very, very fortunate to have worked for Mr. Chaperone.
See, you also mentioned another week before we spoke on the air, talking about your coach in college in football, wonderful Dan Droz. How vital, I didn't say important, how vital is it to find, nurture, and be close to role models?
Oh, for me, I mean, it's everything. I mean, for me, it starts with my parents, my mom and dad. My father was a career military Air Force pilot, and for me, he was a peaceful warrior. He served 2 terms in Vietnam, and I think at the end of his life, he again role modeled to me his commitment to what's called the Kairos ministry. Whose mission statement is to listen and to love and not to judge. And so again, here's my father, right? Who grew up, telling us as kids, speak softly, carry a big stick, and he was tough. And again, an Air Force pilot. But outside of his, again, role modeling to us as children, he role modeled giving of his time, his treasure, his resources, to the Kairos ministry, indelible, impact on me. And then, sadly, my father had, carcinoma, and it started in his lymph nodes. And, he had to have part of his tongue removed because it spread. And so here's a man who, like me, you won't believe this, but he was quiet, reserved, and shy. If you didn't engage with, my dad, like you and I are doing now, nothing would be said. But if you engage with my dad, my father spoke at my oldest daughter's wedding, and my dad transformed Barry when he was in front of people. But to have that part of his life taken away from a part of his tongue removed, and then the cancer spread, and he had a tracheotomy where he had a slit in his throat, and just painful thinking about it. And he was fed through a stomach tube. And you know what? I'm sorry, I'll get emotional here, but my father role modeled love to my mother. And while he couldn't communicate, he let her know through a voice amplifier how much he loved her. And he did this every day. And I'm sorry for getting upset. I didn't mean to, but my dad role modeled love for me, role modeled love for our mother, and that was an indelible impact, for all of us. So for me, role models, again, the good fortune of having you in my life is processional, right? It makes a difference in it, and it magnifies and it elevates. And so, yeah, Dan Droz was that coach for me. At the age of 20, I didn't believe in myself. I thought because of the injuries that I had that, playing football, wouldn't be the best thing for me to do. Playing tennis would be the best thing. And I didn't make it. And I didn't make the tennis team. But I came back. I was that prodigal son to Dan Droz, and he welcomed me, and he loved on me, and he believed in me more than I did. And he shaped who I am as a man today.
More than 500,000 people listen. We will reach out, and more than 2.5 million people will be touched, and we'll keep that ripple effect going. And I call that wearing a toga. That's what you do. You ready for this, Hutch? Toga stands for Tsunami of Goodness Always. That's our life. Tsunami of goodness always.
Yeah, love that.
If you don't have a role model in your life for whatever reason, seek one out or more. And if you still can't find one, become one.
Amen.
Everybody can become a role model for someone else. People are watching you. It's amazing. We think we're self-conscious of, well, people are watching me. Nobody cares about you except when you're doing something correct. Doing things correctly for the right reason. Like I said, why are you kind? Because you keep inspiring noble deeds, wonderful Hutch. And you're running a fabulous business, travel, cruises, hotels, people smiling, happy. It's the love of life. And what we're talking about is the giving aspect of it, because that's what animates it all. Let's do a shift in perspective. Remember, keep that F in place or the other stuff happens, right? Let's talk about mercy ships. What are mercy ships and how does that fit in your world?
Yeah. So I think, again, it's just important for the audience to know that when we started the business, what was going on in my life was I was in pain, Barry. I had anxiety, I had stress. At one point in my life, I was a single dad. I was married to my first wife for 17 years. One thing that we did that was magical is we made four beautiful children. And then, a few years later, I met Heather, the love of my life and my partner today. She had 2 children. So this is the 6 children combined in a blended family. But at this point, 10 years ago, we were becoming empty nesters. Our 6 kids had gone off, to the university. So we have, kids today. The oldest is 40. The youngest is 27. And so at that point, 10 years ago, they had left to go off to school. And so looking back on it, one of the things that I did as a single dad is I took my 4 children on a cruise. And so we all got to do what we love to do. My daughter would curl up on a hammock. My boys would do climbing walls and play basketball. And my favorite time was, the meal time, because I got to sit across to them and, look them in the eyes and, connect with them and ask, what was the favorite part of your day and what did you do? And they would always, say, Dad, we don't have to ask you. We know what you're going to say. And I said, you're right. My favorite part is just being here with you guys and to knowing. And so that pain of, being away from my family, my idea was to create something that would bring my family together once or twice a year. And now I have the good fortune of calling family in over 200 countries. And, we've impacted, millions of people and, we've got members all over the world. So I think that's a story that needs to be told. But again, I told you in the early days when we didn't have resources, we still found a way to give away. Then during COVID, during the pandemic, a gentleman here on the island of Puerto Rico, the Isla Encanta, the Enchanted Island, Javier Cardona, an executive with IBM, came to me and said, Hutch, I need to tell you my story. My son has been exposed to, my family has been exposed to a charity called Mercy Ships. Do you know about them? And I said, Javier, I don't. Please send me the information. Love to know. Coming from you, I'm listening. Because like you and I, Barry, we get approached all the time with, offers to give and give back. And gosh, I just wish, we could do more, right? You've heard me say that quote. I wish I could do more. I wanted to do more. But this one I listened to. And I went to Mercy Ship's website. I checked out what they did. I learned they were the largest hospital ship in the world. And they go to places where, my members don't go, right? My members, I help them to see the world and to go to places like the Mediterranean, like the Caribbean, like the Adriatic, Antarctica. But that's not where Mercy Ships goes. And they bring hope and healing. And so during the pandemic, mind you, when our business stopped, it went on pause. We made a decision to give back. So again, Barry, for me, I wanted us to have this conversation about, corporate giving as a strategy. For us, it's not a strategy. It's in our heart. It's in our soul.
Right?
Yeah, it's who we are. We live to give. But this one was a match made in heaven. A hospital where they asked for volunteers, doctors, to go. And when my members go on vacation, they recharge, they relax, they have fun, right? And when these doctors and nurses volunteer for Mercy Ships, they have fun by doing meaningful work and providing needed surgeries and helping children and families that don't have access to health care. Barry, it's a big problem. 5 billion people on the planet, 5 billion out of the 7-8 billion that we have don't have access to health care. And so in a small way, Mercy Ships provides that. And so along our model of giving, we told our team, we made it fun. We created contests. We rewarded people, and we said, we'll match it. We'll match it, just like our loyalty points, our reward points. For every dollar that you contribute, we'll match it. And so we said we're going to contribute, my business partner and I, $125,000, and we challenge you to give. We challenge you to give back. And so we met, and we actually exceeded it. It was my 60th birthday, and so I contributed $60,000 on top of the giving that we had, and that's what kicked it off. And then we got on a roll. And then guess what happens in 2022? What happens in February 2022 is Russia attacks Ukraine. And at that point in our business, approximately 25% of my business is in Eastern Europe. 25% of my business, by the way, I became a $100 million business in our first 4 years. We grew 300% year over year. In March 2020, we paused, we stopped. We made tough decisions that enabled the loyalty, the trust to continue. One of those was, again, contributing to Mercy Ships. We didn't do it as a corporate giving strategy. We did it because of who we are. And so when Russia attacked Ukraine, millions of women and children needed to flee because of the horrendous, I'll use that word, horrendous, bombings that were going on in Ukraine. And I had business in Ukraine and Russia and Belarus, again, 25% of my business. And to help the women, to help the children to evacuate, to go to Poland, Romania, to leave. The men had to stay behind. They imposed a martial law. Those over the age of 18 as a male and under the age of 65 had to stay put. So we ended up contributing, a few $1 million, to enable the women and children to just have money for gas and food and temporary shelter. It wasn't a whole lot. We gave approximately $300 each, to those Ukrainian women and children, again, on top of the Mercy Ships. And so it just gives me a great sense of pride, to look back and know the impact.
Okay, I'm going to say 2 words to you. No, 3 words, actually. I'm going to change what I was going to say. 3 words. You ready, Hutch? I love you. Now, on that note, we're going to go to a brief break. You don't want to go away. There's more Hutch on the other side of this. And, we wouldn't have these people if we didn't think they're worthy of your time. So be right back. More Hutch. Don't go away.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking. Job is looking for and finding the good. Found good in abundance. His name is Hutch. We're talking about giving, forget the word not. Giving as a mechanism of achieving real life. Living is giving. That is when you've tapped into the essence of your being and you recognize the giving muscle within you, whether it's your money, your time, both. And we urge, by the way, it doesn't matter if you give a dime, $10, 10,000, 10 million. It's the ability to give regularly. We urge everybody, when I do my speaking engagements, I always tell people, I tell them that I ask, I ask you, I beg, please give 10 cents a day, $1 a day, whatever it is, your level, every day, because that builds a giving muscle. The greatest muscle in the human being is your giving muscle because it affects your heart, your mind, and your body. Okay, wonderful Hutch. This is so expansive and so life enhancing. Again, I urge everybody, please go to Spotify, go to Apple, follow us, and share. Share stands for, you're going to love this, wonderful Hutch. Share stands for spreading happiness and rejuvenating energy.
Love that. Love that.
May I offer you, during the break, I wrote down an acronym for your name. May I? Everybody calls him Hutch. His given name is Michael, a great the angel of all angels. So may I give you an acronym for your name, Michael?
Yes, please. And my last name is Hutchison, and so I always say Hutch is on.
Oh! Okay, we're going to introduce the show, and today's guest is Hutch is on the joy of living. Michael stands for manifesting intentional caring, honestly awakening enthusiastic love.
Wow. I can't wait to share that with my mom. I was just with my mom this weekend. My mom is 88 years young, Barry. She unfortunately is in the latter stages of Parkinson's disease, but you would love her. I'd love for my mom to meet you. She's a fighter. She boxes 3 days a week, to help with the echinacea, the shaking in her hands.
Right.
And she loves to dance. She's also taking classes to play drums. 88 years young, and I'm going to share that acronym with her. Thank you.
And I will send it to you after the show by the text and such. By the way, Mom lives in Puerto Rico?
No, my mom lives in east of Orlando and New Smyrna Beach. I have two fabulous brothers that look after her, and so I try and get back from Puerto Rico twice a month and spend my time with her when I'm there.
Well, I mean, for you, it's a short hop. It's an hour flight, right?
A couple hours, yes. Yeah.
Okay. This is a show steeped in love, caring, helping, hope. Hope stands for helping others progress every day. That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's really what you're about. Let's just dip our toes briefly into what the cruise world is about. The cruise world as a business. So it's interesting, as you say, cruises as a business were going along wonderfully until COVID. COVID stopped everything cold. It was, in terms of the business, it was a disaster, complete. Everything stopped, like you said, pause. And these multi-billion-dollar floating somethings, hotels, that employ hundreds of thousands, not millions of people. So the ripple effect, or the wave effect, was horrendous. What is the cruise world about? I mean, I know people, you get on a ship that you said holds, let's say, 2,000 to 3,000 people. I don't know if those are guests, and then there's another 1,000 people that are service people. So you're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 people. How do you stock that with all the food to go away for a week, 10 days, 2 weeks? And the mechanics of running these things. Now, again, that's not your world. What you're doing is putting together the cruises. How did you find the mechanism to deal with all the disparate parts of the cruise industry?
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you my experience. I just was fortunate to take my children, my oldest, my daughter, her husband, my son-in-law, and 2 grandkids, James, who is 8, and Charlotte, who's 6, on a Disney cruise. Barry, first time in my life I've been on a Disney cruise. We wrote about this over the holidays, but yes, they are a machine. It's a big business. When we had this idea to go into the travel membership club, we wanted to make cruises more accessible. We wanted to make them more affordable. That was the value that we were going to add to the members. Unfortunately, what we saw was, most people, when they go to Disney World or Disneyland, they can't afford to go. And I only know to be blunt, and I only know to be transparent. And so what they do is they put it on a credit card, and then that credit card comes due, and then they look at it and they go, now what do I do, right? And invariably they don't make the payments in full. They spread them out. Sometimes they might be late. And so what was originally designed to be a time to bring families together, those that you love and care about the most, again, by putting the deposit down and then making payments over time and paying late fees becomes very expensive. And so the idea of the reward point, the loyalty point, was to ensure that people paid for it in advance. They paid for it before they left. So when they got back, they didn't have to worry about it. And oh, by the way, you can't use all your loyalty points and reward points, because we wanted to keep something in your account so that you had something to look forward to for the next vacation. Barry, the brilliance of our business is the anticipation of going on that next vacation. The recurring model works. It's what kept us afloat. It's what sustained us. During the pandemic, when everything else shut down, the loyalty, the trust was there. And then what else did we do? We added a way to mitigate that risk to our members. Here's what we did. We partnered with a group out of the UK called Trust My Travel. Trust My Travel essentially provides protection to all our members, all the unused reward points. So in the unlikely event we were to go out of business, they would get their money back. They would get refunded. And again, our suppliers didn't pay the insurance. Our members didn't pay the insurance. Our partners didn't pay it. We paid for it. And that created, trust. That gave people the consumer, sense that we were here to be good. We were here for the long term. And then the other decision that we made, in addition to Mercy Ships and Trust My Travel, was anybody that had a booking, we offered them to the cruise lines to keep the revenue, Barry. This is important, again, from a strategic standpoint. One of the good decisions that we made, we said to our cruise line partners, you keep the money. We're a small, privately held company. We're having conversations with publicly traded, cruise lines. We said, you keep the revenue. We believe in you. We know you will get through COVID. We knew you got through H1N1. We knew you got through Zika. We knew you will get through, the bird flu, avian, whatever it is, virus. The only thing that we ask is we want a better margin. We wanted a better margin when they got out of the, of the COVID, issue that was going on. And that was one of the smartest things. Give credit to, again, my business partner, CFO, COO, made very, very sound business decisions that enabled our revenue to stay, for the most part, flat, while most companies went out of business. Thomas Cook Travel, travel agency around
200 years in business, gone.
Air Berlin, top 10 airline, gone. Pullman Tour, a Spanish cruise line, gone. Azamara, part of Royal Caribbean, sold to a private equity firm. I could go on and on. And again, we maintain our profitability slumped. My business partner and I, we took it on the chin, but again, we evoked trust, we evoked credibility, and that multiplied itself. And then we knew that travel would be back, and it's come back with a vengeance. They call it vengeance travel, and so we're doing good things, right? And so like your life, when you do good things and you expect good things, and you're a good person, good things will come your way.
I want to, first of all, thank you again, first of all, for being here, and to emphasize people who are listening all over the world, many in countries where they don't have this entrepreneurial American spirit of can do, will do, but they're feeling, the reason they're listening is because they're feeling it through this show. I will emphasize the word that Hutch just used to tell you that the essence of business is built on trust. Trust your partners, Trust your people that you build your business with. Trust the people that are involved with you. Trust is a great acronym, stands for total reliance upon something true.
Nice.
And the truth is, giving is what makes everything happen right. We talked about building a giving muscle. We talked about trust. This is the essence of Hutch and what you're doing with In-Cruise and everything. I'm sorry to even say the words I'm about to say, but our time is coming to a close, wonderful Hutch. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
Yes, please.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Would love to. It'd be my honor.
Woo! Number 2, wonderful Hutch. You have only 80 seconds to answer this. What is your most fervent desire?
To give back, to keep growing, to be that example to my children, my grandchildren, and my team and family. Team members are those that may or may not be on the team forever, but your family is forever. And so to give back, to contribute, to be that example, to make a difference.
Team, people think they know what it stands for. It really stands for together, everyone achieves miracles.
Love that.
Not just more, miracles. And number 3, wonderful Hutch. Can I give you a hug in front of 503,927 people around the world?
Of course.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. You give this to Mommy when you see her. Ready?
Okay.
HUG stands for heartfelt, unlimited giving. 1, 2, 3. And of course, you're listening to The Joy of Living with your host, Barry Shore. Our amazing guest, wonderful Michael Hutchison. Hutch is on. And remember, the reason you tuned in is not because of Hutch, great guy that he is, not because of Barry Shore. Wow, what a fellow. It's about you. Why are you becoming the best you possible? When you're the best you make the world a better place. You build more joy, happiness, peace, and love. You give more. You do more. You become the full essence of who you're supposed to be in the world. And you use WWW. What a wonderful world. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Remember the 3 fundamentals of life. Your life has purpose. Lead a purpose-driven life. You go mad. MAD stands for make a difference. Uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms to be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Create the kind of world you want to live in. Pardon me, like my 8-year-old niece, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And remember, choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation. Listen to Hutch, how they chose to respond during the pandemic. That will determine your path and your trajectory. Use 4-letter words. Remember, we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. So the 4-letter words we use are love, life, hope, play, pray, free, gift, swim, fun, F-U, capital N, capital S. After the show, you see your family and friends, twinkle in your eyes, smile on your face, point your finger, say, F-U, everybody. Where'd you get that? Barry Shore wants to teach the world to F-U. Capital N, capital N. We have a blessing from Hutch and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Hutch, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.